Hi, I'm Mark Stevens, author of Government Indicted, and the website markstevens.net, the radio show, the No State Project, live most Saturdays from 4 to 7 Eastern Standard Time on the Liberty Radio Network. That, of course, is LRN.FM. We got another edition of the Same Old Lie World Tour, because what we do on the No State Project is to relentlessly attack the concept of government, to continually to have a regular stream of evidence on the website and on the radio show, showing that the concept of government itself, which was the subject, of course, of Government Indicted, which was to show how ridiculous the concept itself was. We also do work here to use the words of the people themselves, call government, or calling themselves government, to actually discredit themselves, to show that not only is there no government and that they're just a gang of kills, thieves, and liars, but there's not a single shred of evidence to support their arguments that their laws apply to us. And now, what we do here is, just like last week we had the New Zealand, this Same Old Lie World Tour stop takes us to Australia. This is the New South Wales Office of State Revenue, State Debt Recovery. Okay? Now, I just recommend asking questions. And again, if you disagree with what I'm presenting here, if you don't think, oh, Mark, you're full of crap, you're the one lying, you think that the concept of government has validity, that it's rational, it's not self-contradictory, if you think that there actually are governments and citizens, and you believe that political laws apply to us, just as say to me, just because I'm physically in Australia or at the fortified compound here in Phoenix, Arizona, contact me at markstevens@mail.com, markstevens.net, Frank Rizzo 3 on Skype, or ambush me on a live broadcast on LRN.FM when we're on the No State Project, and present your evidence. But what we do here is I just ask questions. I prefer to use the Socratic method of just getting first getting agreement as to what someone's argument is so that I understand them, and then what I do is just start asking questions, who, what, where, when, why, and how, and have them explain why they believe the argument is true. Basically, what is the argument, what's it founded on, what facts. So the common lie here, and she says this to her, this was so good. These people are so dishonest. They are so lacking credibility that you could just ask a couple of questions and completely discredit them. And this has been replicated by other people. And if you're a critic, if you disagree with that, then take up the challenge and replicate it for yourself. Show that it can be replicated, or show that it can't be replicated. Prove me wrong. Prove once and for all that some of the critics have said that I'm actually cherry picking, that I'm just calling, or I'm either getting stupid agents, or I'm only posting the calls like this one where the agent couldn't answer. Okay? But what the critics don't do is that, well, here are the facts that this agent just couldn't give you. They never do that. They just accuse me of cherry picking. But the logical fallacies are going to be used here by the people called government. This woman is no different. So it's the New South Wales State Revenue Office. It's the State Debt Recovery. And she agrees with the basic argument. And then she'll even say, it's like that the whole world. The whole world is like this. I know. That's a worldwide problem. Why we call it the Same Old Lie World Tour. So she does. So this is what I recommend you do, especially if you want to try to replicate this. Always get agreement to the argument that you are then going to challenge and show it has no merit. So that's basically the Socratic method. We find out what the argument is. We understand. We get agreement on this is the actual argument. We're not misunderstanding it. This is what they think is true, and then we ask our questions to determine whether it's true or not. So I ask her, and she agrees that if you're physically in Australia, then the constitutional laws apply to you, and they have jurisdiction over you to issue tickets and fines and other nasty things. So then I ask her, oh, do you have any actual facts to prove that just because I'm in Australia, the laws apply and you have jurisdiction? So in a brief moment of clarity and honesty and professionalism, you'll hear it's only brief, she says, no. Again, I ask her, do you have facts to support your argument the laws apply to me just because I'm physically in Australia? And she said, no. Good. Then then the logical fallacies come, because now she's got to kind of backtrack, and, well, that probably, she's smart enough to realize, I just admitted I had no evidence to support my argument. So then she brings out the first of two big logical fallacies that she uses here. It's common knowledge. Yes, because an appeal to popularity can actually support an argument. Yes, it was common knowledge. Oh. You've devastated me with your evidence. No, and I tell her it's just she gets upset when I point out it's a logical fallacy. It's an appeal to popularity. It doesn't prove the argument, and so she accuses me of trying to get out of something because pointing out somebody has a bogus argument and has no evidence whatsoever by their own admission is just trying to get out of something. No, okay, it's a technicality to point out that they admittedly have no evidence to support their claim. Yeah, your world frightens me. Then she brings out the logical fallacy that Bill Montgomery and Jerry Cobb of the Maricopa County Attorney's Office here in Phoenix, same thing that they brought up, basically pointing to the punishment. So according to Bill Montgomery and Jerry Cobb, the Maricopa County Attorney's Office here in Phoenix, their laws apply to me because they put other people in prison. I'm not making that up. That's what Bill Montgomery believes. So that's probably the only reason why he could get a debate with Marc Victor, because Marc Victor didn't play it as an anarchist. He played it as a Ron Paul candidate, which is probably the only... Again, I'm spitballing here. I can't imagine that Bill Montgomery would actually debate an anarchist or discuss publicly anything about government with an anarchist, and Marc Victor was not acting as an anarchist, as a minarchist, a constitutionalist, and so he had some fortitude to do that. But it's just a common logical fallacy that they use to point to the punishment, which is argumentum ad baculum, or just an appeal to consequences. It's not evidence. Oh, my argument's true because I'll beat the hell out of you. Now, all right, if your argument is that you're a psychopath, then, hey, that supports the argument. But if your argument is the laws apply because you're physically in Australia, the fact that you're going to punish me, that doesn't support the argument. But if you disagree... We're live every Saturday from 4 to 7 Eastern Standard Time. Present your evidence. Because from where I'm standing and the evidence that I've gathered and all these calls that I've made, and not just the ones that I've posted, shows to me that there's not a single fact to support the argument. But if you can do what these politicians and these bureaucrats, if you can do what they can't, then you're good. You're good. I'd love to hear it. We're live every Saturday from 4 to 7 Eastern Standard Time on LRN.FM, the Liberty Radio Network. And, hey, I'll go on another live broadcast, but I prefer to do it live. I don't want anyone to make any claims that I have to prepare for this overwhelming evidence that someone's getting. No, hit me with your evidence on a live broadcast in real time where I don't have the opportunity to spin something or write something. So you don't. I do it that way because it's one less excuse that people have to try to discredit me, which is the only thing you can do when you have not a single shred of evidence to support your arguments. Again, my name is Mark Stevens. The website is markstevens.net. And if you've got evidence, please, you're more than welcome to bring that evidence on any live broadcast on the No State Project.
Your call has been placed in a queue and will be answered by the next available client service officer. Please be aware that your call may be monitored or recorded for training and quality assurance purposes. If you do not wish to have your call monitored, please advise the client service consultant.
Good morning, you're speaking. How can I help you?
My name is Mark Stevens. I'm calling from Phoenix, Arizona. And I had a couple of questions regarding, I have a client who's been given one of these final notices of I guess it's for a total debt that's allegedly owed to this office. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask some general questions because we're going to be filing some paperwork to get this resolved if necessary. So maybe.
What's the infringement number?
Pardon?
What's the infringement number for the fine?
I don't know if I have a reference number. It's 06. Yeah?
And where are you reading that from? Do you have the actual infringement there with you?
Well, what I have is an infringement. I have a final notice from Dun and Bradstreet, I guess, who you hire to do collections.
So whose name is the fine under?
Well, it's under a client's name, and he's not on the line with us. I just wanted to ask a general question regarding how your agency determines jurisdiction to issue a fine in the first place. So a question I have is, you guys probably operate under the general argument that if somebody is physically in Australia, then the laws of Australia apply, and you would have jurisdiction over them?
What's the fine for, firstly?
It's traffic.
Yeah. So if you're driving in our country, yes, we can legally issue you a fine. That is correct.
Okay. Well, but the argument is that if he's physically in Australia, then Australian laws apply.
Correct.
Okay. My question for you is: do you have any actual facts to support that argument? That just because someone like myself or my client is physically in Australia, that the laws actually do apply to them?
Yeah, they do. It's the same as if we went to America. We have to abide by the American road rules. They don't change per individual, no matter what country they're from. Every country is the same.
I know that. I get that. I've spoken with quite a few bureaucrats and politicians and agents from all over the world. I understand it's your argument that and you agree, if I'm physically in Australia, then Australian laws apply. Do you have any actual facts to back that up and prove that argument is true?
No, that's the law. That's the way it is in every country. It's the legislation. It's common knowledge, basically. We don't have to have it written anywhere. That's the rules across board. I suppose it would be written somewhere. As to where, I couldn't answer that.
So your answer was no. It's common knowledge, but you don't have any actual evidence to.
Well, it is, and you know that it is. You know yourself that it is. You're trying to get us out on a technicality to try and find it somewhere in writing that states that, and it would be written somewhere. As to where, I couldn't tell you that because I don't know. I don't know where it's actually formally written.
Do you think that a lack of evidence proving you have jurisdiction is trying to get out of something?
Basically, that's what you're asking me, yes. I'm guessing that's the path you're trying to go down. Would I be correct in saying that?
No. What I'm trying to do is just establish whether there's evidence to support the argument that there's jurisdiction to issue a ticket against my client in the first place. And from what you said, it was no. And that you're relying on common knowledge. You're relying on basically an appeal to popularity.
Well, no, it's probably written somewhere. As to where it's written, I couldn't tell you that because I don't know. We're bound by legislation that we abide by.
Sure, I understand that, but my question to you was, what you initially said no, was that there is no, you're not aware or you don't have any actual facts to prove the argument that just because I'm physically in Australia, that Australia.
No, I don't know where those facts would be. That's correct.
Okay. Who would I speak to? Who would I speak to?
I don't know. I couldn't answer that. I've never been asked that question before.
Does it strike you as kind of odd that you may be enforcing fines against people with not
a...
Well, let me finish.
It's the same as if you do something against the law in every single country. You are punished in the way that country sees fit. The same thing in this scenario.
Well, the fact that you're punished is an appeal to the stick. That if you're saying that your argument is correct because you'll be punished, that's really not support for your argument.
So did the person commit the offence or did the person not?
Well, that's not the issue. The issue is whether there's jurisdiction.
Because that's what it comes down to. If a person committed an offence, we would expect them to pay a fine.
Ma'am, I expect to be interrupted and spoken over by American politicians.
Okay, thank you. I'll leave it with you too.
No, I need to speak with the supervisor. Could I speak with a supervisor?
Can't do that, unfortunately, because we can't answer the question that you're after.
You're speaking for your supervisor that now?
Yes, correct, I am.
Okay, so would I be able to call... I guess I'd like to speak with maybe the head of the office.
No, you can. If you want to answer that question that you're asking me, you'd have to look at that legally on a bigger scale. We can't answer that question. I don't know where that answer would be to direct you into that area. We don't have the answer to that question.
So, what position do you hold that you can speak on behalf of the entire agency?
I'm not speaking on behalf of the entire agency. I'm letting you know that our entire agency wouldn't be able to answer that question. It's across board. That's across board. In every country, those rules are the same. When you enter that country, their rules apply.
That's the argument.
If you practice law, you should know where to find that information, I believe. Would that be correct?
No, I didn't say I practiced law. What I was
I was just representing them.
No, I said I was assisting, and that's why he wasn't on the line, and that's why I wanted to keep things general.
That's okay. I'm speaking still general.
Yeah, but you're talking about a very popular argument, but just like what you're saying, and I've done this with U.S. and Canada and England.
It's an argument that's irrelevant, though, sir. That's what I'm trying to explain. If he came into our country and committed an offence, he has options to dispute it. However, if he chooses not to dispute it through our paths, that's his call. That's his choice. But we've obviously got evidence that the law was broken.
Yeah, but you don't have any evidence that it applies in the first place.
Well, it does if he was here in our country, yes.
Yeah, but you don't have any evidence to actually prove that argument.
What did he get fined for?
Wait, remember, I'm not an attorney. I don't need to discuss the specifics there, because then you'll give...
The question that you're asking is entirely irrelevant. We're legally allowed to issue a fine to an individual, no matter what country, if the law is broken in our country.
But you don't have a single fact to support your argument that just because he's fit, you're interrupting again,
ma'am.
Got
the actual infringement. Oh, thank you. I'll leave it with you. Goodbye.
That was pretty rude, don't you think? You don't need to interrupt and speak over me and then hang up the phone.
Trying to get out on a technicality?
Ma'am,
it just doesn't work that way.
Ma'am, with all due respect...
If he wants to dispute it, he's probably best to call us and get those options available.
You're not letting me speak. It's not a technicality if you, the ones making the argument, have no support.
I can't answer that question. You need to source those avenues if you want that question answered.
Well,
I'm not here to answer questions like that.
I'll speak to somebody higher up on the chain.
All right. I'll leave it with you to do that. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.